Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. It is indeed a wonderful Wednesday. For some of us, it was a bit windy as well. Father said to me earlier, he said, "Is this Chicago?" I said, "No, man, just a good wind for flying kites." It's going to be some open line, 1:30, thereabouts. We'll have a chance to talk to Councillor Harris and the others about the NAU. Before that, it's on the schedule to talk about Heroes Day. That's coming up on Monday. So in the meantime, let's have some open line and have you share your thoughts with us. Hey, why not? 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I invite you to, let your fingers do the dialing as you either recall a number or you have it stored or you just type it in and send us your thoughts. You can WhatsApp 925-3261. You can do a voice note and record it and send it across, or we can read it for you. Or you can call us toll free at 1-800-534-8255. or 949-8037. And it's going to be some open line until we get our guests in the studio. Hey, listen, not only does the show go on, but more importantly, hopefully we are part of all that is productive and positive. Doesn't mean there aren't some trials and tribulations. Sometimes you feel an element of frustration and aggravation. Sometimes you feel almost as if, the weight of the world is on your shoulders and you become overwhelmed. Well, what do you do? Question was asked to someone earlier, and let me ask of you. Ever feel that way? And if so, what do you do? A fella says, man, that's when he reaches for a good glass of coconut water. Another fella says, that's just when he really feels like getting into his exercise. And others say, it's the hardest thing in the world, man, to get focus. And as much as he tries to shy away from it, the one thing that brings him back is, a quick moment to be quiet. And sometimes not even to pray, just to listen. Then there are others who have other ways of coping with it. But what was interesting is, as I listened to these individuals, they were sharing that it seems there's so many, problems, as it were. So many things that seem to be on your control. You can't be the master of your own faith, the captain of your destiny, as it were. And isn't that what all of us, not just men. Now, I say these fellas because, with great respect, maybe it'll be obvious, but perhaps a lot of the company sometimes, it's mostly men in the company. I don't believe that is inappropriate. Some would say, well, that's how it should be in some cultures. A man shouldn't be in the company of another man unless, they're married. In other cultures, that'd be the best time they should be in the company, but we'll see how that goes, right? You tell me what you're thinking. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. So the fellow was relaying, a perspective that maybe not long ago, people got together, and since you'll allow me, let's say the men assemble and come let us reason sort of mentality, and they would either take time because perhaps it may have been seen as a degree of wealth as a result of leisure. Maybe it wasn't all of this that's unfolding in their lives, and as a result, people could get a chance to think. And he shares that is a challenge that we're facing now. Everyone. Even, he says, when he was and sort of in the working world on a more of a full-time basis, he didn't have time to read the things he may wanted to read, including catching up with the news, perhaps even watching some of the documentaries or looking at some other fun program just to unwind. There was a constant demand on your time. The demands of the career, the demands of the community, the demands that put on you, by your family and all of the other obligations. The more they seemingly became successful, the more that was required of you. The civic duties to serve on the boards. And this is in Cayman. This is not in some other part of the world. He says, well, maybe it's different in other parts of the world. But this is where we live. What is it like for you? How many of us, he shares, really, really have time and take time to go out and to enjoy? He shared that one of the challenges that he started to face was that whereas he was accustomed to, come Sunday, and that was the day of worship, certainly I could see in him that he was trying not only to be respectful and tolerant and appreciative and all the other great things of our other brother there who worships on Saturday. He said, but Sunday was the day he went to worship, and now he's finding that in order to go in the boat, in order to go to the beach, in order to spend time with the family, in order to rest, church doesn't necessarily become a priority. Is that a change in, sort of occurrence in our society? And as a result, has that, as he asked the question, been a reflection that the families are no longer celebrating life together? Everybody is doing something. Sundays we're playing sports, as we are on Saturdays and Fridays and Thursdays and Wednesdays and Tuesdays and Mondays and every other day. And for some of us, the exercise that we do is no longer first thing in the morning. It's probably the very last thing at night, if we get to do it. Or we run out, half an hour at lunch. How do we balance that? And that was a question he'd asked, and certainly I don't know that he wasn't looking for an answer. What I do know, that none was given. So, what is your thought? How do we balance that? And while you're thinking of sharing with us, well, let's just remind you of our number. 800 toll-free call, 1-800-534-8255. I'm told that translates to 1-800-534-TALK. Or you can call 949-8037, or if you prefer to WhatsApp, then our WhatsApp number, 925-3261. And then he said that, well, how is the political life today different from 60 years ago, 40 years ago? We seem to be asking the question, well, back then, those politicians were statesmen. They were honorable people. Maybe they were. Maybe we just don't recall because perhaps we don't want to. Maybe, the picture was painted differently. But were they, the ones that we have now, any less honorable than the ones back then? Is it, if that's the case, a reflection of our society? And he's asking, do we point fingers and blame, or do we look at it? He shared that there was a time when he had considered, not because of his own sort of thinking and, posturing and the like, but because of those around him. Hey, you're a good man. You involve the church, the school, the community, this. You'd be a great guy to go there. You've got a lot of expertise and experience. And then he started to think, well, your family will be dragged through the mud. Those indiscretions, in the past, whether they were 3 years ago or 30 years ago, they're going to be, brought to the surface. Who it is amongst us, without sin? Who it is amongst us without, any skeletons in our closet? No. Are those things important? Do we have someone that is so squeaky clean that we say, oh, that person is so polished, then we dismiss that person? I ask you another question. What is it we're looking for in our leadership? Our political leadership and civic leadership, the leadership in our churches and schools, the leadership in our communities in general. What about the leadership in our homes? Some may be very quick and biblical and say, oh, the man is the head of the household. Another may jump in and say, well, but the woman is the heart. Do we understand what we're saying? Are we prepared to live an example, not just for those closest to us, but as a community, so that ethos becomes so inculcated in our people that is, what people come to know of us. Just like it was not long ago when the word Caymanian was synonymous with two things: a very, very, genuine friendliness and a very, very strong work ethic. Now, not to say that there are not some of us who wouldn't like very much to put our feet up every day, all day long, but we had that ethos. What happened? Well, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. I enjoy sometimes, and I shared with the fellows this morning, I don't believe I was improper in saying so, that as much as it is to be able to sit in a council of the wiser older heads, to do so, even though sometimes you may be 10, 15 years their junior, you don't always be able to appreciate it. You don't always have the time, and to be able to meet them on their schedules, you've got to do so much to adjust to your own. And when you do, you benefit greatly. But is it a sacrifice that many of us can make? We have all sorts of demands on our time. And at the end of the day, is it something that we're able to benefit from, as we're equally able to perhaps make a contribution to? Well, your thoughts. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. As we share with you, we will have a discussion relative to the Heroes Day celebrations. We'll also hopefully have Notch join us and throw in the music that's coming up equally this weekend. And on top of that, come 1:30, we'll change gears and have Councillor Harris join us as we talk about the NAU. So lots of good things in store, not only to become involved, but be informed and sometimes be prepared to make a contribution and to at least have something to help others. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. We'll pause, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to welcome a number of people to the studio, including, and in particular, a fellow who, they say, look just like me, could be twins, Mr. Alfonso Wright. Well, you go to YouTube and you see if that's the case or not. Somebody says one of us is better looking, but you be the judge. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
We know that 4 are better than 1. Introducing Flow Quad Play. Packed with the fastest, most reliable broadband, the power and control of Flow Evo TV, Cayman's best mobile experience, and tons of home phone minutes, all in one convenient package from only $199 a month. With 4 plans to choose from, you're sure to find one that fits your needs. It's value, ease, and convenience all on one bill with Cayman's #1 network. Find out why 4 are better than 1 with Flow Quad Play at discoverflow.ky. Terms and conditions apply.
If you are seeking a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate degree, the Ministry of Education is now accepting applications for the 2019 Overseas Scholarships. Give yourself the education you deserve and apply today. All scholarship applications must be submitted by January 31st, 2019. For more information on scholarships and the application process, kindly visit education.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Eats Cafe Limited. They do it right with 3 restaurants and a diverse choice of tasty dishes. There's Eats Cafe, Yossi Sushi, and Legends Classic Grill. There's always something for everyone. Eats Cafe Limited, 30 years in Cayman, bringing you Radio Cayman CI Retro, Talk Today's special Cayman Islands Historical and Cultural Program Series. That's CI Retro, Talk Today, Thursday at 7 p.m. on Radio Cayman. And remember, you can catch the Super Bowl right here on Big Screen Television, February 3rd. Eats Cafe, Yoshi's Sushi, and Legends Classic Grill.
Kirk Freeport is inviting local customers to view the highly exclusive Patek Philippe one-of-a-kind unique traveling collection of watches. The collection will be in Grand Cayman for just 1 week before it's whisked off to its next destination and features a collection of unique, rare timepieces from the last family-owned Genevan luxury watch manufacturer. Visit Kirk Freeport's Bayshore Mall location between Friday the 25th and Thursday the 31st of January to view the Patek Philippe traveling collection in Cayman for 1 week only. Visit KirkFreeport.com for more information.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks so much for joining us, and it's a pleasure to welcome to the studio, a fella that sometimes I would remind myself, even though we both, got a full flowing head of curly hair, we're tall and muscular and, almost identical looking. We're not quite. My good friend Alfonso, right? What do you think? I mean, we could pass for twins almost, huh?
You think so?
You don't think so, man?
Not from my point of view, but
just because you're better looking.
But I still happy to call you my brother. I'm still happy to call you my brother.
Oh man, I say this to you all the time, and there are times when you get to know somebody and different hats that we wear and different circles that we travel, and no matter where I interact with you, no matter what, you're one the same. So always a pleasure.
Yeah, well, same here. I try to be. Only one me. And I try to do my part and improving every day, trying to learn something at the same time, trying to pass that on to other people. I don't believe that we should come to any point in our lives where we figure we've known it all and we don't need to learn anything else. I am probably being more... becoming more knowledgeable now, than I was in years past. There are things that are happening in my life now that I'm just so grateful for and so much more appreciative. Some of the things that I may not have thought to be important back then, I am appreciating now. And I think that is probably the way it goes for most people in our age group.
Wisdom comes with the ages, to remind us, huh? But that's the thing, and life is about a journey of knowledge acquisition and of being of service to your fellow brother. I don't mean that, male. I talk about, fellow mankind.
Yeah, mankind.
People.
Yeah, but it makes no sense for you to have it and don't share it.
But that's the thing. And this morning, and as we get into the Heroes Day celebrations, someone complimented you, not just your organizational skills from being a Lions or another community, but through this work, you can see how you organize, how you're diligent, how you're mindful and respectful of things. And the notion that we get knowledge of something, but we don't try to develop that knowledge, expound on it, and we don't share it with others, sometimes not willingly, and sometimes not accurately, and sometimes not completely. Whatever that is, because we say knowledge, some would say information, is power, right?
That's what they say.
That's what they say. But it's only power when it's empowering.
That's exactly right.
See that, man?
If I don't share, I'm unlikely to get.
Right.
So how do I keep learning if I don't keep teaching, if I don't keep, passing on what I have? So it's an exchange of information.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I believe that the country has, been at a time in its history has now come to a point where we're becoming not just very thirsty and hungry and desirous of things, Cayman, in our history, the good, the bad, and the indifferent, to know accurately, to understand the importance of it. And as we start to seek, we may question, we may confirm, we may actually get to a point where we start to very openly celebrate. And that thing that was maybe 500 years old was once just an inkling in someone's mind. And
true. But you spoke about thirst and hunger, and we find that in what we're doing now that there's a tremendous thirst and hunger out there amongst our people. People are engaging. They're asking questions. They're making suggestions. They're calling up. I just had you had to kind of usher me off the phone a couple of minutes ago. And that was, one of our best historians that I know, a man that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, who just called up and said, I need, come by and say, some things we can talk about, no other than Mr. Bernard Watler. And these are people that I grew up, these were my idols. These are the people that, were my mentors and stuff. And how better for me to learn than sit down and have conversations with people like Mr. Bernard.
And I appreciate you sharing that publicly with us. And again, even though you were not only respectful, very respectful to him, but you're mindful. You're in the studio, we're going to catch it, but you're working, you're fielding a call, taking an opportunity to get information to build bridges.
Mr. Bernard called, I can answer the phone. If he called me back now, I can tell you, excuse me, I can answer the call.
I know you would, but again, that's part of the ethos of our people. If my phone rings, and there are certain people that you don't ignore.
That's right.
Even if it's on air, because more than likely, if it's your mother, it's probably very, very urgent, or I missed that, but more than likely it's urgent because they know your schedule and you know your deference for them and the importance of it.
Sure.
But people like Mr. Brennan, as you mentioned, people like Captain Paul and others.
Yes.
Those are living encyclopedias. Those are a connection, not just to ground us to our past, but to be able to appreciate the now and hopefully preserve what is to come. I think of something as important and not simple, but very significant. The whole naming of Smith's Macadere. Right? We've changed so much, partly because we don't really know, partly because we didn't think it was appropriate to question, well, this was this, now it's been this, why is that? But people like Captain Paul, for instance, hey, if you start changing this today, what are you going to change tomorrow?
Yeah.
And celebrating our people is fundamental to that.
Absolutely, because when you do stuff like that, you actually wipe history completely off the map. You don't go back there anymore because that connection is no longer there because the connection is in the name.
Yeah.
That's the significance of the whole thing.
Yeah, Smith Macadere, man, and I think there are too many things that I believe may not necessarily only apply to other parts of the world, but with respect, because it's where we are grounded, our navel strings are buried, and we have to make it relevant to Cayman and not just relatable, but we champion it. And if we change those things, we lose so much. With that, though, as we delve into our history, without question, it's a very oral tradition. We know that much of our information is stored regionally and in Europe and all parts, because our people, went far and wide. And as we get that information, hopefully more of us will start to question, start to authenticate, make sure that what is being, promoted here, there, and everywhere is not only consistent, but is accurate.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we're getting there, man. We're getting there.
Yeah, and like I say, the older I get, the more that's important to me.
Yeah. The older you get, the better I look. So, look at that. Have you seen Susan smile like that before? And it's not just because I was funny. She's like, man, you can't sing.
No, she's laughing at you.
I know.
Know it, but she's laughing at you.
No, I know that.
Okay.
Hey, listen, we've been together now, 15 years, Susan? Yeah. No, Susan, I don't think so. You should plug Alfonso in so he can hear what you're saying, man. No, you don't want to hear that. All right, for those who listen, I appreciate not just the opportunity to be here, but to excitedly. I love this country, and I may get in trouble sometimes with some people because of my passion, but it is only because you embrace something. And a person who, has a sincere, healthy respect for something, then that makes it easier to, All right, so we have a caller, Mr. Fonzo. Let's go to our phones first and enjoy our callers. Yep. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Very thankful, and you?
I can't complain. You know that.
Yeah, good afternoon.
No, man, not at all.
I prefer to suffer in silence. I think it's the more manly way to go. And but I'm just joking around. Welcome to your guest.
Thank you, sir.
I also want to tell you a story, and it's got a message. It's not just for the heck of it. And I scuba dive a lot, and I go to Costa Rica a number of times, and I fly there from Miami to Costa Rica, San Jose, and so I'm on the airplane going to Costa Rica. I'm really excited about it. It might have been the first time I went, actually. And there were 3 guys sitting behind me on the plane, and they were. I'm embarrassed to say it, but they were Americans, and they were. I don't know who they were. I never met them before. I never met them. Period. I just listened to them from sitting in the row in front of them, and they were going down there to invest, and they weren't really interested in Costa Rica and helping out Costa Rica. They were just more or less looking for what they could get out of it, right? And so I'm listening to them talk, and there were 3 of them that were looking at making a killing any way they could, and I felt bad. I felt embarrassed, one, that they were American, and it's like I wanted to protect the Costa Ricans from these guys, and there's nothing I could do, obviously. I mean, I didn't know these guys, and I'm pretty much nobody anyway, so, I mean, what am I going to do? But it really saddened me that these guys went down there, and maybe they were dentists, maybe they were doctors. I don't really know what they were, but they obviously had pockets full of cash, and they were just looking to make a killing. And they were talking about, oh, yeah, a lot of the killings are really gone now. We missed the boat, but there's still stuff down there we can do. And I was embarrassed that they were American going down there with so little respect for the community. And the moral of my story is it's really important that, they used to have 2008, and now they're talking about 2020, but it's really important that the country have a plan for what they're willing to do and what they're willing to not do. Because if you don't have a plan, you'll have guys like these 3 guys that were going to Costa Rica come down here, and they'll just make trouble. I mean, they'll do all sorts of foolishness, and they won't care about the country at all. And you really got to protect yourself from these types of people. And I'm saying that as an expat myself. You got to protect yourself, and the way you do that is if you have a plan. When these guys come down with their foolishness, you can say, you can use it to help you make your decision. Yes, this is what we like. No, this is not what we want. And that's, I guess, the moral of my story is the importance of having that plan. And the cruise ship berthing facility is kind of an example, and Barker's is an example, and having that plan makes, then you know which way you want to go. So that was what I wanted to share, and hopefully they went down there and didn't cause too much trouble, but I don't feel good about it, even telling the story. So, yeah?
Yes, sir. Well, thanks for sharing that. I guess the moral is, no matter where you are, someone always, is watching and knowing, and whatever you do, make sure it's always, something that you can be proud of, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
So, all the best to you.
Thank you, man. Enjoy your afternoon as well. I just wanted to, with that, we all live and work here. Whether we are Caymanian because we trace our ancestral roots back for generation after generation after generation, or it's a place we've not long come and say, wow, it's the first I've been here. I kind of like it. I wouldn't mind making this my home. If we're here, I believe it behooves us to do all we can to make it, as best as we can, because it's going to benefit us while we're here, whether that's going to be for a day or forever.
Yeah, but I do take his point. It's a very good one, and not everybody that comes want to preserve, what they came to see in the first place. People have different ideas, different goals, And some people come to make money, and they don't care what happened or what's left after they're done with it. Some come, like what they see, and they want to help us preserve that. But I believe that it is our duty to understand what is important to us, and have a plan, decide what we want to maintain, what we want to preserve, and regardless of who comes with what, this can happen, that can happen.
Yeah.
So I am in line with that. But we're back at National Heroes Day again, and it is one of the more important dates in our annual calendar. I want to say how appreciative I am to be involved this year, because the government made the decision that the Coat of Arms celebration, that is our 60th anniversary of the Cayman Islands Coat of Arms, was worthy of further recognition. And although 52 of the 54 vestrymen that were serving when the Coat of Arms was created have already passed, we thought that it was such an important part of our history that we ought to recognize them for their foresight and to share what we do know with those who come to live among us or our younger generation. And we're so fortunate. We still have two of them with us, Captain Owen Farrington and Mr. Lindbergh Eden. I said on Monday morning that Mr. Lindbergh is actually in the hospital, and we pray for his recovery. We know that is in the Divine Master's hand, and all we can do is pray. But if all goes well on Monday, Captain Farrington will be there with us. And we will be recognizing all 54 of the vestrymen. And in addition to that, this year, taking on a little different format, we are making, we have gone to great lengths to recognize some of the companies that have been with us through the last 50 years, who have been a part of the Cayman success story. Because while we know about the 70s when the tourism and the banking and financial industry and stuff was kicked off, but there were important things that were happening back in the 50s as well, when we had to make decisions of where we were going politically. And we have to understand that probably played a more pivotal role in the direction we've taken and set the tone so that we could have a financial and tourist industry.
It was interesting. We look at this discussion, and 60 years is, with the greatest respect, it's just not even a blink of an eye in human history. But it shows how significant, how fast things can move. And those decisions, the political ones, the social iterations, the sort of economic determinations, are not any different in some respects than maybe what we're experiencing today.
Yeah, we look back on today 60 years from now and say the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah.
And if our people start to, that thirst and that hunger for who we are, and we start to develop a greater sense of self-respect and appreciation for what we are, and through that, we envelop everybody. What a strong, vibrant, dynamic, socially stable, economically successful, politically strong society we could have.
Well, we have the basic ingredients,
Mm-hmm.
We can be like that. For the most part, I think we are well on our way.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to be strong in our resolve and understand what we need to protect. We need to listen to people of experience who talk to us all the time and understand. And, new ideas are always good, and we must embrace them. But we should learn from history.
Mm.
We know that in the 1950s that women were not able to vote. Women could not run for office. And so we have 54 men.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the tone throughout the life of the vestry. It wasn't until the 1959, when we got our first constitution, that Constitution then gave women the right to vote, and they then voted in the 1960 election. And so while it is a little top-heavy with men, the activities that will go on Monday, we are also doing our best to highlight some of our prominent women, within our community. Mm-hmm. We have the deputy chair of the Celebrate Cayman, Ms. Marzita Bodden, who's going to be the master of ceremonies. And we know Marzita's right at home with a mic. She has a wonderful stage presence. She's quick on her feet. She speaks well. So we're extremely proud of that. While I mentioned her name, I'd like to also say how appreciative I am for what she does within the group, within the committee, as well as Ms. Caracole and Ms. Krista Watler, who are four of us who make up the Celebrate Cayman team. And we do get support from all over the place, but we are the main four. And this year we're working with Ms. Melanie Sims, who is still in charge of the National Heroes Day through the protocol office. And it's all coming together, doing Ms. Marzita will be master of ceremonies. We have the usual pomp and circumstance with the arrival of the governor, the premier. We are also having the usual conch shell blowing to get our activities off. We have a young gentleman young student from Cayman by the name of Eugenio Miles that's coming down to do that for us. A proclamation again will be read by the Honorable Speaker, Mr. McKeever Bush. Mr. Rudy Miles, ever dependable, always willing and able, will be doing the national anthem. We have another lady.
And the national song as well, or just?
No.
Just anthem?
Yeah,
okay.
just the anthem. I'll speak about the national song.
Perfect.
Ms. Lavon Ryan from Cayman Brac will also be doing the prayer for us this year. See, we're projecting women. We're doing as much as we possibly can.
You get no argument from me, man.
Absolutely. There was a message. There'll be some welcoming remarks from myself as executive chair of Celebrate Cayman. Honorable Dwayne Seymour, because the National Heroes celebration comes under the Minister of Culture. Mm-hmm. So Minister Seymour will have his remarks to make as well. But what we're doing this year in our recognition of the 9 national heroes that we have, we are sort of connecting them to the prosperity with these 50 year plus companies that we're talking about. So in other words, we would somehow connect Mr. Warren, Mr. Jim Bodden to tourism or banking or aviation, and we have companies within those areas that we are going to be recognizing. It's going to be interesting, and I won't give too much of it. But I'd just like to go down our list and make sure that people remember that our first national hero was the Honorable James Bodden, the Honorable Warren Conley, Honorable Thomas William Farrington, Honorable Sybil Joyce Hilton. We have Honorable Sybil Ione McLaughlin, who is our only living national hero. Dr. Honorable Roy Edison McTaggart, Honorable Ormond Panton, Honorable Desmond Watler, and Miss Honorable Mary Evelyn Wood are our 9 national heroes. So we're still celebrating. We're still celebrating National Heroes Day. This is what the day is about: national heroes. Mm-hmm. So the add-ons are honoring these individuals who served in the vestry when the coat of arms was created. You were making a point about 1/3.
Did you see that? Right, a third of the
absolutely
right. And Susan reminded me of the break. So let's just do that when we come back.
Absolutely,
we can learn some more. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
At KFC, we believe you don't have to share a last name to be a family. Whether it's an office party, holiday fete, or family gathering, enjoy KFC's fresh, hand-breaded finger-lickin' good chicken. The KFC Festive Feast includes 10 pieces of original recipe or spicy chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, tasty coleslaw, and warm biscuits. KFC's holiday catering menu includes buckets of hot wings, sweet chili wings, or chicken tenders. KFC, it's finger-lickin' good.
Thursday at 7 p.m., you can hear a repeat broadcast of CI Retro Talk Today's Heroes Day Celebrate Cayman special program presentation brought to you by Hell Service Station, Hell Road in West Bay. Family owned and operated for over 45 years. Now that calls for a celebration. Hell Service Station, where you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Visit Hell Service Station for all of your car care products.
It's 2019, and you know what they say, new year, new me?
Yeah, Bobo. For me, it's new year, new car.
For real? What you thinking of buying?
The new RAV4 from Vant Motors. It's one of the safest compact SUVs out there with enough room inside, which is good for my family and convincing my wife we need this. Plus, it's fuel efficient, fun to drive, and on top of that, it's on sale too.
Yeah, and I hear it's one of the best-selling SUVs on the market.
Cause you don't gotta spend more to do more. That's why I'm gonna get mine now, while they have a new stock to select from.
Do more in your RAV4. Save thousands on the all-new 2019 RAV4. Test drive yours today and see why the RAV4 is a best-selling SUV in Cayman. Available only at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Hi, I'm Colin Lumsden, the Georgetown manager and head of the Revitalization Initiative. Our capital city is the heart of business activities in the Cayman Islands, and we would like to bring it back as a center of social activities, with street-side cafes, green spaces, improved roads, and proper walkways for interconnectivity. The new cruise and cargo port is part of the plan, and will allow for operators to meet passengers dockside with less lines and overcrowding. Cargo operations will be less intrusive. There will be pedestrianized areas for people to safely walk, shop, and dine. Modernizing the cruise and cargo port is a key element in the efforts to revitalizing our capital city.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us, and as you look forward to celebrating Cayman on Heroes Day, while in the studio, the executive chairman, Mr. Alfonso Wright, is our guest, and thanks for giving us not just a preview, would that be a good word, as to what is going to unfold on Monday. It's a good way for us to start to build that healthy respect, amongst our people, for our people.
Well, since the kickoff of the Coat of Arms celebration, I must say, and you can be honest with me, but I believe that we have seen a really heightened awareness of our people as far as cultural and patriotic values have been highlighted and people are more engaged and wanting to talk. People are coming forward with information. People are calling and asking about things and saying, "Did you know this? Did you know that? What are you doing next?" And one of the things that is really encouraging with us, we're getting a lot of requests to come and speak to school children.
Yeah.
And so there's a wonderful air about all of that. That the kids are engaged, and I'll say this to you that the primary school children are the ones that are more engaged. The middle to high school we have some work to do there, but I know that the ministry and the department understands that, and it is something that we have to tackle. But at primary level, there's a really, really high level of interest in things like this. Now, our national song. We're using the track of the new recording that Dan and Lisa Scott has done for it. And we're having the Savannah Primary School children will sing the chorus, and we have Erica Sai will sing the verses, and the school children will do the chorus. So we're changing that up a little bit, doing it a little bit different. But we want as many children as we can possibly get involved in what we're doing.
Yeah.
So that's going to be something a little different again for us. The usual laying of wreath, this will be led by the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Samuel Rose, and we're involving all of the members of Parliament in the presentations to either the companies that are being represented or with the 54 vestrymen. We're trying to be as inclusive as we possibly can with the whole thing. I want to say that we've been, the members of Parliament, whether it's government, backbench, opposition, have been very supportive of the Celebrate Cayman initiatives. And I'm comfortable in singling out the leader of the opposition, has supported just about everything that we've done wholeheartedly. And always, up to this morning, he was asking me some questions and so on. So I think it's good for the country. It's good for who we are, what we do, that when it comes to a topic like this, that we're not partisan with it, that it's everybody feels the same way. We treat everybody equal when it comes to these things. The 54 vestrymen, I keep explaining this, and I know that it's going to take a while, because some people hear a part of the story and they don't get the whole thing, and they say, well, I knew my dad was a vestryman too. How come he not being honored? And so the vestry was in place from 1831. So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of vestrymen out there. But the ones that we are honoring right now this year are the 54 that were serving from 1956 to 1958. They were 2-year terms at the time. And they're the ones that were there when the coat of arms was created. They are the ones that we're honoring this year. Okay? And those individuals were vestrymen from the West Bay District, Mr. Spurgeon Andrew Ebanks, Captain James Cadian Ebanks, I was referred to him as Captain Cady, Mr. James Stafford Banks. When Mr. Stafford was a vestryman, he was Ebanks. I think he changed his name afterward to Banks. Mr. John Garston Smith, I'm sure everybody would remember Mr. Garston. Captain Owen Farrington. Justices of Peace during that term from West Bay were Captain Charles Ebanks Glidden, Captain Thomas William Farrington, Mr. Thomas Abram Ebanks, John Samuel Smith, Samuel Osbert, known as Mr. Birdie Ebanks, Mr. Lee Alfonso Ebanks. Georgetown, the vestryman was Edgar Ducan Merrin, Ormond Lauder Panton, Hugh Malcolm Coe, William Wallace Bodden, Alan Berkeley Bush. Justices of Peace for Georgetown were Captain Rael Bradley Bodden, Mr. Edmund Samuel Parsons, Ernest Otte Panton, Thomas Frederick Hill, Major Joseph Rodriguez Watler, also known as Mr. Roddy, Desmond Watler, James Ashford Panton, Otto Gordon Halston. And for the Savannah area, we had Mr. M.S. Mortimer Forbes, also known as Mr. Champy. I don't know how many of you will remember Mr. Champy. But he was living in the Savannah area. The Forbes, Pastor Dale Forbes, Mr. Champy would be his uncle. For Bordentown vestrymen, we had Mr. William Benjamin McCoy, George H. Ricketts, Mr. Harold Stewart, Mr. Alfred Biddle Bodden, and Mr. James Lobner Berry. Justice of Peace for Bordentown would have been Mr. Richard Philip Bodden and Mr. Thomas Logan Bodden. East End vestryman William Allen McLaughlin, his son Norman Rudolph McLaughlin, and Mr. Lincoln Benjamin Bodden. Justice of Peace at the time for East End, Austin Burns Connolly. Vestryman North Side, Kenneth Norman Chisholm, Olney Albury Ebanks. Justice of Peace for North Side, Ebanks. Prospect, Again, there were different representations, but we had Mr. Lawrence Thompson, Alfred Lawrence Thompson. Need me to stop?
Well, it would be an inappropriate time, but I got the news.
You tell me.
No,
No,
it's Susan's. She's the boss.
No, we don't go through the news. We can come back and finish this.
Well, you know what? A good cliffhanger and a question. What difference between the vestrymen and the JPs?
Mm-hmm.
All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio K-Man.
Radio K-Man's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Cayman Islands Cancer Society will be having their annual Stride Against Cancer event this Sunday. The event will begin and end at the 7 Mile Public Beach, and participants will travel south on West Bay Road through North Church Street, Harbour Drive, South Church Street, and onto South Sound Road, turning around at Caribbean Paradise and returning to 7 Mile Public Beach via the same route. In order to facilitate this event, there will be barricades placed on West Bay Road at the entrance to 7 Mile Beach and on South Sound Road directly in front of Caribbean Paradise, just east of the intersection with Walker's Road, to manage traffic flow from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Motorists traveling along the marathon route on Sunday morning, you're asked to exercise caution. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Thousands of people are gathering across Venezuela to march in protest against President Nicolas Maduro. 4 people are said to have died in clashes before the protest as riot police mobilized to guard demonstrators. The National Assembly president who organized the opposition march called it a historic event. Jacob Rees-Mogg says he believes Theresa May's Brexit deal could be reformed to win round opponents. The Brexiteer, one of 118 Tory MPs who voted against the deal last week, said he had more optimism that things were going our way, but he said as long as the Northern Ireland backstop was part of the deal, he would not vote for it. And the EU Commission has told EU states to tighten checks on non-European Union nationals who acquire citizenship, so-called golden passports, through investments. The Commission plans closer monitoring of those schemes and golden visas granting residents in exchange for big investments. It says they can be abused for tax evasion and money laundering. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go.
Puritan, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. Take advantage of our ongoing discounts on all men and women's apparel. Ask about other discounts available in store. 3 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside, Elgin Avenue, Georgetown, Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine. Free pickup and delivery available. Call Puritan Cleaners at 949-7104. You feel good when you look good.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks too for Miss Susan, managing not just the radio but the YouTube channel and making everything happen, man. You gotta see her. She's like a conductor of an orchestra. And boy, with me and the, I don't know, Fonzo, she has her hands full, huh?
Dealing with you.
Yeah.
I'm easy to manage.
Whoa.
My apologies, Miss Susan. I didn't get the signals. I would have.
No. Yeah. That's okay. It's me. It's on me. I'm telling you. You were midstream. I'm all excited about it.
Yeah, but she don't know that when the news was on, you were blaming me.
No, Fonzo. Boy, you see how. You see your friends, boy. He's rough, boy. You sure you're not fond of Ray? But Alfonso, right, as chairman of the Celebrate Cayman, the executive chairman, you were going through the list of the vestryman and justice of the peace, 60 years ago when our coat of arms.
Yeah, and if I could just complete that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, we were at the Prospect people, and that there would have been Mr. Alfred Lawrence Thompson.
We're Northside, right?
We had finished Northside. Northside was the vestryman was Kenneth Norman Chisholm and Mr. Albury Ebanks, and the Justice of Peace for Northside at the time was Mr. Bertram Ebanks.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the Prospect area, we've had Mr. Lawrence Thompson, Alfred Lawrence Thompson Sr., and Mr. Lindbergh Eden, and Mr. Carl Thompson were the representatives for the Prospect area. The Prospect was one of the more areas of influence back in the day. For the Sister Islands, vestryman Captain Charles Gerald Cockernell. We have had Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, Captain Robert Clifton Foster, Mr. Arnold Foster. Justices of Peace would have been Captain Edwin Ellis Walton, James Nathaniel Tibbetts, Aston Shedden Rutty, Wade Taylor Foster, John Cummins Lazary, Reginald Bloomfield Cockernell, Lawford George Lawrence, and Dennis Haley Foster would makes up the 54 of the vestrymen who were serving at the time, Mr. Ebanks.
Wow, and I certainly want you to share more of us. Could we go to our phones and get a caller's contribution as we speak to Mr. Alfonso? Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon. I was just curious. Can I ask Alfonso this Mr. Wright, this question?
Yes, sir.
I think they're including, first of all, I heard of it was organizations, but you mentioned the word companies.
Mm-hmm. Organizations would be more like it, Mr. Banks.
Oh, okay. Yes, well, all right. So
and we're not getting. It's some. We could never do all. So there are some that will be left out, sir. But we're doing our best to involve as many as we can.
I was just curious. Are any of the cooperatives of that era on that list? Because
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, because they were very important in that era.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Some of them are included.
All right, and the new cultural policy that is being developed, so forth and so on, and I think there's some action being processed on that now. Are you involved in that in any way?
I was invited at the time that it was happening, but because of issues with work, I could not participate at the time. So no, I was not involved in any of the development of that policy, sir.
Well, hopefully that the process that you're involved in also will at least be. I can't say that I can say included, because I think the basic policy has already been set, but will be included in some of the discussions leading up to the what they're going to prioritize as the new main plank.
Yes, sir.
That should be highlighted.
Yeah, well, I think the policy has been done, but I don't think it has been formalized yet. So I believe there is still room for tweaking if something needs to be done with it, Mr. Banks, because I know I've heard some talk about it lately, but I'm not sure that it has actually gone through cabinet yet.
Well, I think it went through the Legislative Assembly.
Okay.
I think
You may be right. Yeah.
I think it's stomped in whatever you want to stomp it in, but
well, maybe it's the regulations or something that's not done. There's something that isn't complete yet.
It could be the regulations, but I think where they're at now is trying to prioritize, because I think there's maybe 40, 50 planks that the policy has dictated should be addressed, and they're trying to prioritize which ones to deal with first. So hopefully that they will involve you all with it, since you all have got some very recent, I think, knowledge and feedback as to what the general public is thinking and how they would like to see that policy process in the immediate.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. See you very soon. Juanzo, as we go through, I recognize a lot to cover.
Yeah, and I need to get back to Heroes Day. The event starts at 9 in the morning on Monday morning. We are, roads and stuff will close from Friday evening, so it's a lot of work to be done to have it ready for Saturday, for Monday morning. There is a threat of some inclement weather over the next couple of days. We keep our fingers crossed. We pray about it, but we can do nothing about the weather. We can do a lot about other things, but we can do nothing about that. There is a rain location, which is the First Baptist Church across from the Line Center. In case it comes to that decision would be made somewhere around Friday evening, Sunday, if we had to change. But we're hoping that we can make it work. The majority of the people will be covered in tents. We should have seating for all. Usually it's only the platform that's left exposed in case it does rain. So there are a couple of things that we are thinking about. For instance, if the weather is too bad to start, then we would kind of know that and move to somewhere else. But if you're in the middle of the event, it's not much you can do then. And so there are some provisions with like moving the platform to the town hall kind of thing, and people could still stay in their seats because we're going to have monitors and stuff there that they could still see and hear what's going on. So there's a lot of peripheral planning going on to make sure that we are able to complete what we need to do on the holiday Monday. So Miss Mellon is on top of all of that. So the event starts at 9. We ask people to be in their seats anyway from 8:15, 8:30 on, so that come 9 o'clock we want to roll, because we're trying to prevent this event from being a 3 or 4 hour event this year. And hopefully if we can have it completed in 2.5 hours at best is what we're looking for. We have some involvement of school children. We'll be doing a couple of things a little bit different. The police contingent, of course, will be there with all the other uniform services. The usual, the Cub Scouts, Girl Brigades, and all those people are going to be involved again. There's going to be a little special presentation from one of those youth groups that I'm going to leave until the day it happens, but I want people to look for that. And there's special involvement this year too from our own Mr. Devon Edie. We'll be doing something very special that day as well. And we do have the refreshments, the food, and drinks after the event that is free, that the government provides. And the Cayman Islands Music Association will be performing in the library parking lot after the event until 5 in the evening, and that is something that we're encouraging people to also support. We know that there are some people who will come out to the event and will probably just leave after the ceremony is over, but there are another crowd that will like to stay on, and there's some people that will come out and enjoy in the festivities afterwards. The Music Association have their music event that's going on this weekend as well. So we're asking people to support them as much as they possibly can.
A full day of celebrating Cayman, as it were, huh?
Yes, sir.
From 9 a.m.
Yeah, it is an important day, and we want the entire country to come up. We want people represented from all over the island. We go to a lot of work to prepare. It costs a lot of money to set these things up. We go to a lot of trouble, prepare seating and everything else. We do our best to make it run as seamless, to flow really nice, that there are no hiccups, there are no long delays in between events and so on. And Ms. Marzita is going to be the marshal for that this year, and I'm expecting a lot of good things to happen on Monday.
All right. Now for the wider public, as we listen to it, I mean, you've covered a lot of ground. Wow. Share with us as you wish. I was hoping to tease, but I won't, because I know that you dangled enough of exciting things.
You can tease all you want.
No, the tease earlier, tease more there.
But you were saying, you were asking me the difference between the justices and the vestry.
Yeah, so.
And they, for the most part, the vestry were elected members. Mm-hmm. And they, by virtue of somebody being a justice of peace, would be appointed to serve as well alongside the vestry. But there were some cases where areas that may not have had remember now that these people that were serving back then, there was no compensation for any of this work that they did. They were doing this for love of country. And not everybody could afford to do it. And remember now that you didn't have good roads and people, to get down to Georgetown, and imagine having to come from Kimmerbach for a legislative assembly meeting back in 1958. It was an ordeal, so to speak, by boat, of course, and you would probably have to spend more time if you got down here and got bad weather and all that kind of stuff. You could be down here and came on for a week or two. Mm-hmm. But these people did this for the love of country. So there were some times where people did not run for specific districts. And the commissioner at the time could appoint vestry men as well. So some of that did happen back then. But for the most part, so you would pick from your list of JPs, and they would be appointed then by the commissioner. Who would serve in some areas there.
And we look at the population, but that's perhaps a discussion, for another time. But we look at the population, look at the size of the vestry, and sort of the representative aspect of it. It's amazing how we have sometimes forgotten that idea of service above self.
Well, we talk about that, and we talk about back in 58, population was probably 6,000-7,000 maybe, and we had 54 people serving in the vestry. And we have about 65,000 now, 63.
90,000 maybe. Oh.
Just saying.
No, well, 1% of the population, perhaps thereabouts.
Yeah.
At that time, but then, it's an evolution in a sense. I mean, companies have been asked to do more with less. Words like retrenchment and downsizing, efficiencies, and again, participation, how we spread it and flatten the whole situation. For the public to come out on Monday.
That's what we want. We want people to come out. We want people to come out nicely dressed. It is a very important event that we expect. Proper decorum. We're honoring national heroes. Is what's happening. So we expect people to come out in your best. We're doing our best to make sure that you're covered, that we're hoping that we have cool, dry weather. Let the breeze come. But if it gets wet, we can't do anything about that. But we're hoping that it's cool and dry is what we're praying for. Right. So come out, spend some time with us on Monday morning. In the afternoon, participate in the Music Association's event that's going on in the library parking lot. Again, all this is free for people to soak up and support our local musicians. I think there are about 7 or so different bands that will be performing out there, so it's going to be quite an array of different types of music.
All right. Professor, thank you very much. Enjoy, the rest of this week, and as you excitedly look to putting the finishing touches, may Monday be not just festive, but one that we celebrate.
Celebratory.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me again.
All right. Pause, take a quick break. When we come back, more Talk Today.
It's the CMEA's 11th Annual Music Festival Weekend, coming January 25th to 28th, Heroes Day Weekend. 5 events over 4 days. Friday the 25th, catch the DJ Showcase.
Cayman Cabana.
Soul Karama.
Carib Cafe.
Reggae Revolution. Silverside's Dance Party.
Saturday the 26th, see the Young Musicians Showcase at 1 p.m. at the Hockwell Theater, followed by the Heroes Salute at 7 p.m. at the Havana Club. Sunday the 27th, don't miss the Music Awards ceremony at the Hockwell Theater. And on Monday, Heroes Day, the live music showcase will merge with the Heroes Day ceremony in Georgetown for an evening of live local music. For more detailed information or tickets for the 11th Annual Music Festival, call 928-7665 or visit the Cayman Music and Entertainment Association on Facebook. Music Festival Weekend, 4 days, 5 events. Don't miss the celebration of Cayman's top musical talent.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Flowers Bottled Water is a sponsor of Radio Cayman's CI Retro Talk Today, special Cayman Islands historical program series. Flowers Bottled Water, the cooler water. Telephone 949-8688. We invite you to listen to our repeat broadcast of CI Retro Talk Today's Heroes Day Celebrate Cayman special program presentation on Thursday at 7 p.m. on Radio Cayman.
Whether you're planning your child's next birthday party or simply looking for a social night out, look no further than Kingpin Bowling at King Sports Center.
With a range of packages and specials for bowling parties, socials, and corporate team building, Kingpin Bowling offers what no one else can. The only bowling alley in Cayman. And it's indoor fun, which means no mosquitoes, AC, and don't forget about their bowling bar. Book your bowling lanes today. Call 946-BOWL. That's 946-2495. Email kingpinbowling@candw.ky. For more information, visit their website, www.kingsportscenter.com.
King Sports Center, providing your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And as part of the Heroes Day celebration, I've got a few minutes with the president of the Cayman Music and Entertainment Association. Notch joins us in a bit. Acting Minister Austin Harris will be in the studio as we talk about the NAU, together with the chief officer and the team there. But Notch, as Alfonso was sharing this prior, this weekend is about celebrating and honouring and being reverent of people, but it's also about the festive celebratory part of Heroes Day. And as the Music and Entertainment Association brings us, you sort of give us that lineup as well.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you can't rationally expect to celebrate your national heroes without song and dance. I mean, how else would we celebrate? So this weekend is once again the Music Festival weekend. That's what we call it at the CMEA. We don't call it National Heroes Day. Mm-hmm. We actually Heroes Day weekend because it doesn't sound as good to us. It's just the music weekend, and the music weekend is there's 9 events. There's 7 events over the 4-day long holiday weekend, and we start on Friday at sunset with the DJ showcase, which is this year going to be held in 3 different locations in Georgetown.
Okay.
And our purpose for doing that is because we're trying to aid in the revitalization of Georgetown efforts. So there's 3 central locations in Georgetown that we will have the DJ showcase. Firstly, Cayman Cabana, which is on North Church Street on the waterfront. And then the next location is Central Georgetown, which is the old K Fabrics, which is next to the entrance of Elizabethan Square, across from the office, in the little nook in there. That's at Carib Cafe. And then the third venue is at Silversides, which is on South Church Street, which is on the waterfront upstairs, Eden Rock. That's a brand new little bar establishment there, opened by a Cayman entrepreneur. So it's called Silversides. So we have 3 different themes. The first theme is Socorama, which is being held at the Cayman Cabana, starting at 5 o'clock until 2 a.m. We have a assortment of top-notch DJs, local DJs. We have DJ Stephen King, DJ Neil Sam, DJ Martino, Chuck Taylor. We even have Radio Cayman's Silver Fox, Mr. Paula Cal, who will be appearing there. All the DJs will be pretty much on an hour-and-a-half rotational basis. And then at Carib Cafe, we have the Reggae Dancehall Revolution. That's for all the regional music, your reggae music entirely, reggae and dancehall. On that lineup, we have Mr. Preston Onfroy from Hot 104 DMS, your DJ Renato from Hot 104 DMS, Super C, DJ Archie, Styla T, just to name a few. It's the same concept, it's just all reggae music at Carib Cafe. And then we have the dance party element of the Music Association's showcase, the DJ showcase, which is held at Silversides. And that will be another slew of Cayman's top-notch DJs. It'll start out the evening with DJ Ralph, who is the proprietor of the Caymanian Times, who's also a sponsor of the music weekend. So it'll start with DJ Ralph. You have DJ Flex, DJ Sheriana, DJ Dominique from Westby, Mixmaster, and Adam Skills. That's Eric Gardner. And pretty much that's on Friday night. Then on Saturday, we go to the Young Musician Showcase. That that event is taking place at the Harquail. It starts at 1 p.m. till 5. It's free to the public. It's a family-friendly event. I'm asking everybody to come out and support the young kids. They are the future generation, and they are the future musicians of the nation. So I think it's really important that we go out and show our support for them. That's from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then that evening, on Saturday evening, we have an event called the Heroes Salute, which is the CME's way of acknowledging and giving thanks to this year's recipients of the National Gongs, the vestrymen and the JPs, so to speak. That happens at the Havana Club on 7 Mile Road, which is in Caribbean Club Plaza, or Caribbean Plaza, I think it's called, on 7 Mile Road. We have a slew of performers for that. Mostly it's the solo acts and the combos who perform for that event. So we have, for instance, musical crew, Mr. Daniel Augustin, who just released songs. Daniel is the son of the late Mr. Melvin Augustin. You have Miss Vashti. You have Mr. Andy Blake from Bodentown and several other musicians that will make that night's entertainment. That's on Saturday.
That's on Saturday.
And then on Sunday night, we have our award ceremony. This is where we give our highest award, which is called the Icon. Last year's Icon was centenarian Mr. Wesley Howell. This year, because we had such a terrible year of loss last year, in the musical community. This year we're giving 3 posthumous icon awards to Mr. Melvin Augustine, Mr. Charles Gregory, Greggy G, and David Jonathan Ebanks. Greg and John were both from the group The Memory of Justice, as you know. All 3 of those gentlemen exemplified what it is to be an icon in Cayman. People who have given their life to local music, to the craft, and who have also excelled in the other private sector disciplines or trades. And that's what it's about. So they joined the ranks of Aunt Julia, Mr. Duxie, Mr. Radley, Mr. Dalmeen, Dr. Melno McCoy, Mr. Eddie Scott, Lammy, Edward Solomon, Mr. Bunny Miles, and Mr. Wesley Howell. Those are our other icons. Pretty much the award ceremony starts at 6 p.m. The gates open at 6.
It's on Sunday, right?
It's on Sunday at Harquail, and it starts at 7. We give long service awards. This year, it's DJ Eric Gardner, Adam Skills, as a long service for being a DJ, as well as Mr. Archibald Mutrabaga. These guys have been DJs in Cayman for a generation, for over 30 years. Both of them. Also, receiving long service here will be Mr. Spencer Merrin, who was the original. He was the original brainchild of the music, the original concept. We've expanded on it, obviously, but when the name and everything came about, it was Spencer. It's his intellectual property, so to speak. Then we have the best song of the year, which is Josh Pearl. That's Aunt Julia's grandson. I want to say a happy birthday to Aunt Julia, because it's actually this time of year it would be her birthday time, and that's just kind of fitting when I was thinking about Josh, thinking that he's a generational musician like most of us. Miss Andrea Rivera will be getting an award for her regional success. We also will be giving Christopher Seymour, Mr. Lambert Seymour's young son, who is a guitar virtuoso himself, coming up in the band Fire Squad. He's the Young Musician of the Year. And we also have Mr. Paul Akal being given the Jazzy B Award, which is given to local disc jockeys who support local music on air. They go above and beyond to play X amount of local music.
Yeah, without prompting.
It's a partnership without prompting.
Yeah.
Without any, and that's what it's about. It's a partnership. It's about coming to that understanding that all of us are in the same boat. On this musical journey, we need to work together to get to the destination.
Yeah,
and then, as Mr. Alfonso Wright was speaking about just now, the grand finale of the music weekend is the live music showcase. And I say showcase because all of these events actually they're derived from the original magic showcase that we used to have. You remember we used to have a magic showcase. The Music Association was who would put on that showcase in its early inception. So what we do now is we actually have a variety of different showcases. So the live music showcase, which is the grand finale of the music weekend, is held on the final on Heroes Day. That's the Monday holiday. We used to have this event in private sector establishments, but we've worked with the protocol office to bring the live music showcase to be incorporated into the National Heroes Day events downtown, so that after the awards are given, the music starts and people can stay and socialize. Some people might want to dance, they want to party, whatever, but it's that atmosphere that's there in town, which is so important. I know when we grew up, it used to be called the Fort in the back of the library. Remember they had built a fort, and that's where we used to go to do all our shenanigans. But Nowadays, it's just a court parking lot, you know. But we're going to turn it back into a venue, and it'll be a good venue. I think it's a fitting end to the music holiday weekend. So once again, Friday we have the DJ showcase. That's in 3 different locations: Cayman Cabana for Socorama, Carib Cafe for Reggae Dancehall Revolution, and Silver Sides for the DJ Showcase Dance Party. They all start at 5 p.m. They all go to 2 a.m. And we're asking everybody to come on out and support your favorite local DJs. On Saturday, we have the Young Musicians Showcase. We're asking everyone to come out. Please come out and support the young kids. It's really important. Matter of fact, bring your kids so they can be inspired by other kids. It's so important, I think, a lot of times for other kids to see their peers doing something positive and having positive outlets of expression, and then it kind of pokes them and pokes
inspires them,
and it pokes their conscience to say, well, what am I really doing? You know what I mean? So I think it's something that needs to be definitely supported. The Young Musician Showcase. On Saturday night we have the Heroes Salute at Havana Club. We want everybody to come out and support the local musicians there. And then on Sunday we have the award ceremony. Please come out. There'll be a lot of musicians. Come and rub shoulders. And some of you may not remember Mr. Melvin by that name. We're talking about Melvin Augustine, that most people know. Most people know as Nardi from the Settlers Band. I mean, everybody knows Jonathan and Greggy G from MOJ. Come out and support. It'll be an amazing night. All the musicians are usually there. There's an open invitation, obviously, to all the past awardees. If you've ever been given an award by the Music and Entertainment Association, then obviously it's free entry for you, and there's designated seating there for you. So come on out. On Monday, it's free to the public again because it's downtown Georgetown. So we have, I think, because of time constraints, you put on us by the protocol office. They wanted everything to end at 5 for this initial startup year. We were only featuring 4 bands this year. We had to cut back on some of the live bands, but we had enough live bands to go into the night. But hopefully next year we'll get to that. So this year it's just, there'll be Gordon Solomon and his band Vanguard. There'll be Lionfish that's going to be performing on the Kaboo Festival. There'll be Blake Hurlston and Backbeat. There'll be Mr. Edlin Miles and Mr. Bunny Miles with the Regeneration Band. I think that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. The DJ lineup for the DJ showcase at Cayman Cabana at the Socorama once again is Silver Fox, Stephen King, Neil Sam, DJ Martino, Chuck Taylor. Over at the Carib Cafe, the lineup is Super C, DJ Preston, DJ Renato, Styler T, and it's going to be just an amazing night of DJs. Over at Silversides, Dominique, DJ Dominique, Adam Skills, DJ Cheriana. Our deepest condolences go out to the family of DJ Lynn. I know his wife, his mom just passed away, and it's really tragic. He was actually confirmed to be on the dance party event as well, but we understand, and our heartfelt sympathies and our prayers go out to him at this time. You know,
yeah, man. It's miss him on you, man. I feel it. You know, he's a new sort of addition to our team, relatively speaking, but he feels he's been here forever. You know?
Oh yeah, man. He's a good old boy.
Yeah, man.
He won't ask, man.
I challenged this last couple of days, week or so, man. But anyway, he's a good guy. He's supported, as you said. But Notch, I appreciate you taking a few minutes. Thank you for sitting in with us, and being able to share. So this is a weekend of celebration from Friday through Monday.
It's a local week. We want everybody to come out and support your local music, support the local musicians. It's a thankless thing, and these guys have brought so much joy over the years to our to the local community, you know, giving so many opportunities for socializing and networking and things that we've actually all built on and from. So come on out and support the local musicians for the Mosaic Festival weekend. Every year, National Heroes Day holiday weekend, this is when it's at. This is our 11th year. Next year is going to be greater. We're looking to add 2 more events, hopefully, to that long list of events. So hopefully we'll continue to grow from strength to strength. I'd like to thank some of our sponsors, the Ministries of Tourism, the Ministries of Culture, the Ministries of Education, which is really important to get them out there. IK, Monster Media, Caymanian Times. Just if I missed out anyone, please forgive me. It's not intentional. Anyway, just come on out and support the Music and Entertainment Association. Jake Scott's another sponsor. Just come on out and support the local Music and Entertainment Association this weekend.
All right. Hey, thanks very much, man. Enjoy it. Have fun. I know you're going to be out and about and coordinating and making sure that we celebrate.
I have to, you know, I mean, I'm trying to make sure that the presidential role is done right. That's important, man.
President Notch.
You lead from the front, you know.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks very much. And as we come back, please rejoin us. We've got a chance to tell you about, you know, the NAU. Expect to join us, Acting Minister Starston Harris, together with Chief Officer Teresa Chineke and the staff supporting cast. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Hello, I'm Joseph Woods, the Acting Port Director. Our port facility is the hub of the Cayman Islands commerce and economic activity, handling $658 million in imported goods annually. From groceries to construction materials, all sectors of our economy depend on the port. But it is now 40 years old. Its infrastructure is degrading, and we feel the strain from insufficient space for both cargo and cruise operations. The time is now. A new expanded port facility is needed to allow both cargo and cruise to operate efficiently and to support our island's continued growth and development. Support the port, support our tourism, support Cayman's continued growth and development.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide in Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health's program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your cardboard items in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Help keep Cayman clean. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
RC Fusion, featuring Billboard pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
Brought to you by Country and Western. No mess, no fuss, just the best in Caymanian cuisine at a price you can afford.
Country and Western now offering delivery. Call 945-4079. RC Fusion.
RC Fusion.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after.
Brit K protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after.
Visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
Headlines. With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. It is indeed a wonderful Wednesday, maybe a bit windy and wet for some, but nonetheless it's dry on the inside, and Susan tries her best to Corrales is almost like herding cats, she reminds me. We invite you to share with us, and I'm glad not only for the good company of Mr. Ebanks, but respectfully with the wonderful presence of our Chief Officer, Mr. Research Nikki. Thank you, Mom, for allowing us at the very least to be mindful that we should be respectful, because when we have professionals like yourself, it may be challenging otherwise. So thank you for keeping us grounded.
Always a pleasure to be here, and again, because this is my first time on your show for the new year, Happy New Year to everyone, to your listening audience, and again, always a pleasure to be able to come on and share information with yourself and with the listening audience in regards to what our ministry has in plans, what we're doing, what we're about to do, and to also be able to get feedback from the public as well. So thank you for having me.
Well, it is a pleasure, and I will endeavor to be not only on point, but somewhat less jovial. But can't promise you that, because my good friend and acting minister, Mr. Austin Harris, joins us. So I'll try to remember protocol and behave.
Behave? No, man. Don't do that. Don't do that at all, Sterling. I will also echo Chief Officer's sentiments, in which you and your listening audience a very happy new year. It's always a pleasure to join you on your afternoon program. And as much as I enjoy the content of our otherwise serious conversations, it is I think I smile more in this studio than I smile probably anywhere throughout the course of the day, and a lot of that has to do with you, so don't get too serious.
No, well, if you can't laugh at me, go ahead and laugh at me. If it brings down your blood pressure, go right ahead. But Mr. Andre Ebanks, as the deputy, thank you, sir, for joining us. It's wonderful to see that within our society we not only have upward and mobile people, but people who are passionate as well as they are committed, who not only have the expertise but are willing to gain experience in order to move and propel the society positively in the right direction. So welcome to you too, sir.
Very good to see you. And good afternoon to you and to K-Man.
All right. Now, as we look at the idea of the growing demands that are being placed on our society, whether it's the infrastructure needs, whether it's more accommodation for housing because of growing population, or upwardly mobile people who are prepared to sort of venture on their own, whether it's the demands within our healthcare or education systems, a society has, as a measure, maybe look at these things as being indicative of growth and prosperity. But there are also those who need assistance in many respects. Some not just a handed, as they say, but a help up.
Yes.
In a colloquial parlance. Perhaps, Mr. Harris, maybe respectfully start at the top and have you delegate, direct, and dictate the tone.
Yeah, no, well, thank you for that, Sterling. Certainly, you're absolutely right. We can be proud of the fact that we have a very strong and growing economy here in the Cayman Islands. A strong economy means greater opportunities of jobs for Caymanians, greater opportunities for benefits for Caymanians, but certainly a strong economy also provides us the means that will otherwise fund some of the services that is needed to look after those most vulnerable in our society. And that's what brings us together here today to talk about the departments and elements within the Ministry of Community Affairs that deliver services to our most vulnerable in society. Yes, like every other jurisdiction in the world, we have our successes, but we also have our challenges. We have persons, clearly, who are in need of a little extra assistance, sometimes that needed hand up to get back on their feet again, and that is certainly what the Ministry of Community Affairs and its relevant departments of the Needs Assessment Unit, the Department of Children and Family Services, the Department of Counseling Services, all work together in order to address the needs of those most vulnerable. Since taking office in May 2017, together with the National Unity Government, I think we have made some strides, some positive impacts in terms of how we deliver the service of social assistance. And, of course, we're also continually working to improve those service deliveries. We'll talk a little bit today about a new round of consultations that we are engaged in with our clients and the public to gain their feedback in terms of how we can deliver both social and financial assistance more effectively, more sustainably, and to the benefit of the right people at the right time.
Madam Chief Officer, as you wish to help us, fully appreciate not just the scope, but also the importance of what we're sharing.
And again, to add on to what our acting minister just indicated, this is an ongoing process for us, and it's so important that with whatever steps we take and whatever work we're doing, that we are always involving the public. We don't want to find ourselves making decisions that is truly not in the best interest of the clientele that we have to work with. So we will always welcome the public feedback, and we will always engage with the public because we want to truly be able to meet the needs of our people. And one of the goals and our overarching vision is to truly empower people and enhance lives. And for us to be able to do that, it's not only one ministry or any one department, but we have to truly take a holistic approach. So it's working internally within the government with various ministries, but also with the private sector as well, in ensuring that everybody comes on board so that we are truly striving for a better community and making life better for all of our people overall.
And to that point, whilst we are anxious to share details with your listening audience, in particular how they may participate in the second round of consultations, which again, as I stated, are designed to improve that service delivery, how we are both more responsive to our clients and how we improve our overall service delivery. I don't want to give the public the impression that there haven't been progress and improvements in the delivery of social assistance and financial assistance, certainly over the last almost 2 years. Certainly, if I can give you a few examples. First and foremost, we extended our opening hours for the Needs Assessment Unit on Fridays, specifically to better service the needs of our clients. We established, with the support and direction of Cabinet, a direct deposit scheme for those clients who receive rental assistance in the Cayman Islands. When we took office, there was ongoing complaints that persons, particularly landlords, weren't willing to rent to any new clients because they weren't receiving their monthly rent checks in a timely manner. So we moved to initiate a direct deposit scheme where those rental payments are deposited directly into the landlord's accounts. I think that has improved the situation greatly. Out of a total of, I think, 200 plus active renters, some 88 have participated already, and that number is growing on a monthly basis. Now, this is an important aspect, and I think shouldn't be understated because it relates to housing. We talk about, and we've heard about the rumors, persons, again, living in cars, living on street corners, living sometimes in the bushes. We need to provide housing for people who are the most vulnerable. So addressing this early and making it a priority is, I think, a huge win for the ministry and the respective departments, but primarily for the people that are most vulnerable. So we continue to encourage landlords to sign up to this direct deposit, and again, giving us the opportunity to use private citizens' properties, put money in their hands, but at the same time provide housing for those most vulnerable. We've begun the process of expanding our residential facilities to better accommodate and separate children and adults with special needs and disabilities. We continue that work, which is very important. We talk about the important work that's going on at Maple House, but we have the challenge of young people and adults residing in the same location. We've made certainly positive strides in that direction to create and develop a purpose-built facility that will better accommodate both the young people and the elderly with disabilities. In terms of the service delivery side of the work of NAU, Department of Children and Family Services, we've developed specialized teams over the last 18 months that will allow greater targeting of persons with needs and to be able to categorize them. For example, What are the needs of the family? How are they different from the needs of the elderly? How are those different than the needs of the family? Which give us the opportunity to look at the total number of our clients, but deliver specialized services, as I said before, to the right people at the right time. And you can only do this in a holistic and careful manner. So these specialized teams not only improve services, but they improve the delivery of services to people when they need it most. We're also in the process of finalizing housing for all of the related agencies under one roof. We're looking to move the Department of Children and Family Services and Counseling Services under one roof. They will be joined by the new Employment Department of Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman, because I think we will all accept the more people that have jobs reduces the number of persons who need social welfare. So we create that opportunity. In the months and if not years to follow, we will look to moving the Needs Assessment Unit also under that one roof, so that we can create a one-stop shop for persons needing services but not having to travel all over town to get those services. So these are some of the positive strides we've made. We've also partnered with the University College of the Cayman Islands to develop a social worker program. This will enable us to build local capacity, but also direct young people towards this viable and important career of social work services, which will in turn enable us to service our own people better. So we've made some positive strides. We've made some positive improvements. We have a long way yet to go, but we believe that we're heading in the right direction. And again, the goal is to be able to provide the service to those who most need it.
All right,
and with that said, Sterling, just before you go to your break, I know you have to take your break. Just before you do that, it would be remiss of me not to take the opportunity to truly thank our staff within the ministry and within the department for their hard work and dedication. Acting Minister, rightfully so, highlighted the work that the staff have been very involved with and have achieved in a short period of time. Some of the pieces that they've developed and that they've moved forward with have been done in a very short period of time. Some has taken a bit longer, and some we're still working on. But we truly have dedicated staff members who are very much involved, dedicated, and eager to improve the services for the people of the Cayman Islands. So I want to take the opportunity to extend our gratitude and appreciation to them.
All right. Well, when we come back from our break, we'll continue to share more, hear more, learn more, and invite you to be a part of it. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Pioneers who have helped create the Cayman Islands coat of arms will be honored at the 2019 National Heroes Day celebration on Monday. Chairman of the Celebrate Cayman Committee, Alfonso Wright, tells Radio Cayman, in addition to celebrating these leaders, several organizations that have been serving the Cayman Islands community for more than 50 years will also be recognized. The event features the laying of wreaths and a moment of silence. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. The headlines should all have been all about Naomi Osaka's victories on the tennis courts in Melbourne, Australia. Instead, the Haitian-Japanese sports star has once again found the coverage diverted by a row over a cartoon. This time, it is Japanese noodle company Nissan, which has been accused of whitewashing the mixed-race Osaka in a manga drawing. There is no hope of finding missing Cardiff City footballer Emiliano Sala and a pilot alive, a rescuer has said. The striker and the pilot, named as David Ibbotson, were in the plane that vanished from radar on Monday. Channel Islands Air Search Chief Officer John Fitzgerald said even the most fit person would only survive for a few hours in the water. And Alec Baldwin has pleaded guilty to second-degree harassment for a fight over a New York City parking spot. The 60-year-old U.S. actor appeared in court charged with punching the man on November 2nd during the dispute in front of his Manhattan apartment. He agreed to take an anger management class and pay a $120 fine. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Man, one of these days we'll give you the outtakes during the breaks, man, and you'll see why this show is as popular as it is. In the studio, Acting Minister Austin Harris, Chief Officer Teresa Echenike, and Deputy Chief Officer Mr. Andrew Ebanks. Right? Deputy Chief?
Yep.
All right. Starboard football player, legend. No, just kidding. When I was just reflecting on some of the thoughts as the Honourable Acting Minister was sharing, and the notion that we talk about, we judge by how we treat, the most vulnerable in our society.
Yes.
We hear adages like, well, you're only as strong as your weakest link. Different things, but how much of that, becomes cliches? How much of that is actually taken on hold? And I believe, Chief Officer, as we look at the diligence and the determination of a civil service, that desire to go out and to genuinely impact the lives, whether it's through the educators or whether it's through the social workers. Sometimes it's a thankless, almost unappreciative effort. But thankfully you do it not because of that fat paycheck or the praise that you get externally, but because of the answer to that calling. If I may ask, though, I like statistical analysis, not just because numbers can be used to manipulate and lie, but because with accurate, timely data collection, we can have a meaningful impact in terms of policy formulation. As we look at our population and the expectation that, for the most part, we're going to see an increased longevity in our people here and globally. We see movements of people coming back because Cayman, is really a wonderful place. People want to come to our shores because it is really a wonderful place. Great demands and greater demands on our population, on our resources and the like. How does that translate into the work of the ministry in the EU and so?
So that's $1 million question, and there are various aspects for us to look at and take into consideration when answering that. But I think that what I want to do is to back up and to speak a little bit about your initial comments, because rightfully so, sometimes the works within our ministry or within our department does appear to be one of major stress and thankless job. But as I previously indicated, the staff are truly dedicated and they want what is best for the people of the Cayman Islands. So they give it their all. And we understand and we appreciate what goes into all of what they do, even when sometimes the public don't always have an appreciation to that. With that said, I consider this ministry to be one of the key ministries for the mere fact that we have responsibility for our elderly and our children. Let us understand and appreciate these particular groups that we are working with, that we are advocating for, and that we are supporting. Our elderly provided us with the foundation for our islands and where we are today. So the services that we continue to provide to our elderly is essential because we want to ensure that in their older years that the dignity and the respect is ongoing and that what we're providing to them in terms of services is truly a thanks and appreciation for all that they have done for our country. Equally so as important, we have our children who will be the future, who are the future of our country. And so, again, not only respecting the elderly who has established a foundation for us, but our children who will be the leaders of our country one day. Again, these are essential pieces of work that we're doing that we must get right and that we must ensure we are supporting and developing and constantly enhancing. What we do with our clientele today is also going to stem off and benefit our community on a whole. When we think about who we're working with and the development of our children, if we're leading them in the right direction and we're guiding them away from the negativity, that is going to obviously impact or lessen the crime in our community. It's going to place them in a more stable situation in lives. Our families are going to be stronger as well when we give the family the type of support that they are needing. So as we look at these components and think about, okay, what is the impact of that might have, for example, on tourism? We know tourism is one of the areas that, again, we always utilize as one of our key areas of income and support for our country. So again, if we're able to build our social structure and our social entities, then that also invites people to come here. They're going to be safer. It's going to make our economy that much stronger. Again, our ministry is key and is important to so many other aspects of the other works that's taking place.
All right. Well, we do have a caller joining us, Honourable Acting Minister Austin Harris, Chief Officer to Research in AK. Oh, the call is gone. Ooh, ho, 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 ho. That message came by the remember earlier. Anyway, no problem. I have some questions from some messages here, but before I do, perhaps if I could, Madam Chief Officer, ask initially the Deputy Chief. Last time we were here, we talked about the name change and the like, and I know it was more than just semantics. It was important. Could we speak to that briefly as to how we look at the poor relief legislation and the name change and potentially what that means for us and why?
Sure. I at the risk of sounding like a broken record, because I made this point in the Public Accounts Committee meeting last week, said it in this studio on Monday morning, but the Poor Persons Relief Law is not just inadequate in terms of its provisions. The name needs to be changed, in addition to a bunch of other things that I'll go into in a minute. But it signals how we view clients. It may have had its proper context at the time in 1964 when it was initially enacted. But in 2019, we need to move on to show the public that we care. In addition to that, we're looking to clearly define what are the powers of the Needs Assessment Unit, which is not in the Poor Persons Relief Law. It's about 3 or 4 paragraphs. We also have to clearly lay out exactly what is financial assistance, what are the types of grants that can be offered, who is eligible for it, what are the conditions that might surround that grant, that the obligations upon the person to carry out. So to what you opened with, a hand up rather than a hand out. Whether or not it can be revoked for any reason. If a party who is receiving a grant feels aggrieved, what's their recourse? We're trying to implement an appeals tribunal so that if a person feels aggrieved by the department's or the unit's decision, they have recourse other than out of the political realm. And then also build in a proper and comprehensive regulation-making provision in which Cabinet can bolster the principal law with the operating rules of the road. So it's the other side of the track that the councillor started off by discussing, where he laid out very practical measures that we're doing right now, because legislation, by its nature, can take a little while. It's going to take proper consultation. As the acting minister likes to remind me, measure twice, Ebanks, and cut once. Because there's been many examples of our history where people have tried to resolve misery and then compounded the misery.
Correct.
So while we're taking our time to ensure that we're trying to get it as correct as possible, we're also on the other side of the track doing those practical steps that he outlined at the beginning, while we make sure we consult as much as possible throughout the community, and also across the legislature, to ensure that by the time this piece of legislation hits the LA floor, you have at least broad consensus behind it to help our people.
Yeah. As I listen to him, I'm thinking back to the mid-90s in the US when they started the use of parlance instead of welfare, workfare. Getting people empowered would be today's language. Acting Minister, if I may ask you, you talked about bringing these various agencies under one roof.
Yes.
If you would respectfully expound on that, are we talking just physical housing at some point, or eventually integrating the functioning and it would be great to be able to move, through a building, the new, I call it, the $6 million man, a new $100 million building where we go in there and the agencies are front and center. You can move quite easily and efficiently from one section to the next. So having a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
But would integration go beyond more than just a physical housing and an actual integration?
No, absolutely. The goal is for full integration. Certainly staying with the broad strategy towards the delivery of social assistance. Having a physical office space is important for our clients. Again, you're a needs assessment client, so you receive food vouchers, utility payments, you receive rental assistance, which have now, of course, been improved by that money going directly to your landlord. But some of our clients, let's be honest, they suffer from substance abuse challenges. As a result of that, they have obligations to attend the Department of Counselling Service to assist them, to make them more marketable so that they can not only live with dignity, but also be able to secure independent income. Right now, those clients would have to leave one department and either go across town or catch a bus or otherwise in order to access those appointments. We look at the Department of Children and Family Services. Again, we're dealing not only with individuals, but in many cases families, sometimes families with disabilities, both physical and mental disabilities. So we want to be able to be more responsive to the needs of our clients, to provide them the assistance that they need as efficiently as possible. The new housing will take place, I think it's on Mary Street in the old Walker's building. Now, why do we select that? Another convenience for our clients. Most of our clients don't have private vehicles, transportation. Mary Street is around the corner from the bus stop. So again, it is a convenient location in which our clients can reach out to us. They can access the services that they need at the right time without having to travel all over town in order to do it. We believe that is an important first step, as the Deputy Chief Officer pointed out. I like the word he used, and how we care for our most vulnerable. And we've changed, the poor person to clients, because that's what they are. We treat them as our clients. We care about their needs. We're concerned with not only how they're living today, but how they're going to be able to live tomorrow, how they're going to be able to provide for their own families tomorrow. We look at the Needs Assessment Unit. Whilst a lot of the work that it does is provides temporary assistance, but how do you provide temporary assistance so that it doesn't become permanent? You empower that individual, as the Chief Officer pointed out, in terms of the mission statement, if you will, of the ministry, to empower people and enhance lives. Yes, sometimes we need to provide a little hand up to people who are struggling. And as a Christian nation, we have that obligation to be our brother's keeper. But in that process, what we are trying to do, rather than just simply paying rent and giving, food or otherwise paying utilities, is we are trying to enhance these individuals so that they can develop themselves to go out there, find gainful employment, and have independent means. And that, I believe, is where the dignity component comes in. Mm-hmm. When you can give a person the ability to look after themselves, then you return to them dignity, which they may have lost for some time.
Right.
And Dwayne, just very quickly to add on to that, in addition to the physical structure that we will be housing the various departments, until some of those pieces can be finalized, what we have done is to ensure that the collaboration between agencies are definitely ongoing. So even within the needs assessment unit, we have social workers that will be readily available to provide services to persons so that they don't have to leave needs assessment and to go over to DCFS at this point. We recognize that persons coming in might initially just come in for financial assistance, but there are underlying issues and there are other supportive mechanisms that we need to be in a position to offer. So that in-depth intervention is definitely important, and that's why the collaboration within the departments is so important. In addition to that, we have had discussions with the Ministry of Health with regards to ensuring that needs assessment officers are readily available at HSC. If persons are coming there and requiring support, clinical services and needing to be assessed, that again, they don't have to leave in their medical circumstances, leave HSA to go to NAU. So these are all aspects that we are looking at. Some of them are already in place and some we're in the process of developing. So it is not only, having the agencies in one building, but also reaching out to different ministries and different agencies to ensure that our services are readily available to meet the needs of the clientele.
All right. Well, when we come back, maybe in the words of that, famous DJ, stop, collaborate, listen. The NAU has a new vision. It's not just nice, baby. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Don't forget to tune in every Monday through Friday for the 7 a.m. news, brought to you by Cayman National Bank, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
If you are seeking a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate degree, the Ministry of Education is now accepting applications for the 2019 Overseas Scholarships. Give yourself the education you deserve and apply today. All scholarship applications must be submitted by January 31st, 2019. For more information on scholarships and the application process, kindly visit education.gov.ky.
Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m., Radio Cayman's Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio featuring Will Sinatra.
Enjoy a mix of pop, hip-hop, reggae, dancehall, Latin, soca, urban gospel, old school.
The Super Jam Show is fueled by the proud sponsorship of insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center.
Don't take chances with your family's future.
Thursday at 7 p.m., you can hear a repeat broadcast of CI Retro Talk Today's Heroes Day Celebrate Cayman special program presentation brought to you by Atlantic Supply Limited, the Cayman Islands' foremost heavy equipment and construction equipment dealer since 1983. Atlantic Supply Limited, 398 North Sound Road in Georgetown. That's CI Retro Talk Today, Thursday at 7 p.m. on Radio Cayman.
Kirk Freeport is inviting local customers to view the highly exclusive Patek Philippe one-of-a-kind unique traveling collection of watches. The collection will be in Grand Cayman for just 1 week before it's whisked off to its next destination and features a collection of unique, rare timepieces from the last family-owned Genevan luxury watch manufacturer. Visit Kirk Freeport's Bayshore Mall location between Friday the 25th and Thursday the 31st of January to view the Patek Philippe traveling collection in Cayman for 1 week only. Visit KirkFreeport.com for more information.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. It is a serious discussion, and I know that Susan is there trying, boy, behave now. Well, tomorrow, Miss Susan, I promise you I'll try tomorrow, not today. In the studio with the wonderful company of the Chief Officer together with our Deputy Chief, we have the Acting Minister, Mr. Harris, joining us. As we look at NAU, and we understand that the community really, really wants to ensure that its people are empowered, that they feel a sense of independence, as you were speaking to, and the notion that they're contributing members of society who sometimes may have just need a little extra assistance. There by the grace of God goes, I reminded. The consultation the Deputy Chief Officer, the Acting Minister referenced earlier, maybe you could share with us so that we have a chance to be a part of the dialogue and make the input. Sure. Yes, sir.
Yeah, in July 2018, Cabinet approved the ministry's proposal to start a working group. And not just in terms of the legislation that I spoke of earlier, because we didn't want a situation where we pass new legislation, pat ourselves on the back and walk away, because that's not going to be the answer to everything. You also need to have the practical ramifications worked out, and also how things work in day-to-day operations. So the working group is not just established to work on the legislation, but to also go hand in glove with the transactional processes, the things that can make the client's life easier. So, for example, I'm sure I don't want to call any fellow ministries or agencies out, but you've been to a place and you fill out a form and be like, why do I have to fill this out all over again? Don't they already have this? Those kind of little things that are really the pain points for clients, and these are the most vulnerable. So these are all of us. Think of all of us in this room who have paychecks or fortunate with jobs, and you get frustrated then. Imagine if you're on your last legs. Yeah. So we thought we have to look at both in turn. So we started off in July to the end of 2018 with internal government stakeholders first. That included ministries of health, human resources, immigration, went down to the department level, the new work. Mm-hmm. We talked to the prisons, we talked to National Drug Council, we talked to Department of Community Rehab. For two reasons. One, to also see how they view us, and two, to develop a rapport with them, that we're going to be handing them a set of reforms, and we want to get their buy-in, because it all works better, as the acting minister and the chief officer mentioned earlier, if we do this together. That's run its course. We've had their initial feedback, and now we turn to say, okay, we can't be so naive as to think we can struggle with this on our own. We're going to need the consultation, honest consultation, frank consultation with external stakeholders. So acting minister mentioned the landlords, the actual clients themselves. Well, what are the pain points when you walk in the door? It's one thing for me on one side of the desk to think that I think this is working fine, but how do you actually feel when you come through the door? Yeah. And also, who's going to be key to that are the agencies and organizations that supplement the work of government. So Feed Our Future, Red Cross, ARC, Acts of Random Kindness. We're going to be sending out consultations to stakeholders who actually deal with NEU and DCFS on a frequent basis to get their feedback. And frankly, as I've said in other discussions, the general public at large. So we really want to make this a broad, inclusive process so that we can try to get this right to help the most vulnerable in our communities.
And Sterling, this is that measure twice, cut once approach. We acknowledge that we have a need to develop a broad strategic outline for the delivery of social and financial assistance, which we are doing. But when we look at social assistance, it's not just a single ministry, community affairs, delivering these broad services, as the DCO pointed out. There's a component of indigent health, Ministry of Health. There's a component of the Department of Community Rehabilitation. That's the Ministry of Home Affairs. We have human resources, which, of course, we talked about it earlier on, employment or unemployment, filling certain skills gaps. All of these cross-ministry departments are all providing in one form or the other a form of social or financial assistance. So when we look at developing that broad strategic plan, the first place you go to is talk about what are we doing now, how are we delivering those services, and how can we deliver those services better. We first started with the cross-government approach, and the next step now, as the DCO pointed out, is to take the viewpoint from the client's perspective and those people who otherwise support and supplement social assistance, so that, again, we can have a holistic viewpoint before we march out and say, well, this is what we think on the policy directive side. This is what other jurisdictions are doing on the legal and the regulatory side. How do we know that these steps that we're taking, or when we make that decision to make that first cut, how confident are we that this cut is going to be the solution, the necessary fit? So this is the purpose of these lengthy consultations, because it is absolutely essential that we get this next step of delivering care to those most vulnerable right, because we have had many missteps in the past. No, not taking anything away from anyone, but it is a significant problem. The problem of social welfare is relatively new for the Cayman Islands. We talk about, 2007, 2008, unemployment hitting Caymanians in a real way, perhaps for the first time. How do we deal with that? We saw the downturn in the global economy, forces outside of our control that impacted life here in the Cayman Islands. We see, depressed wages. We see terminations and redundancies. We see foreclosures. All of those things had a cause and effect, and that cause and effect was increasing the demands of social welfare. How do we deliver that? Well, if we weren't prepared for unemployment when it first hit us, then we certainly weren't prepared for the delivering of social welfare in a meaningful way. But we had to deliver it, because to do nothing was not satisfactory. So governments of the past, administrations of the past, made their first efforts. I'm not taking anything away from those efforts. They did what they could when they needed to do so. Our job now is to be able to take that step backwards, to look at all of the services that we provide and ask ourselves, could they be provided better? Could they be provided more effectively? Can they be provided more efficiently and sustainably? And that's the process. But at the same time, we recognize that we have clients who have needs today. They can't wait around for us to get a legislation right. They can't wait around for us to get our database right. They have needs today. So we're also simultaneously addressing, as the DCO mentioned, the transactional needs on a day-to-day basis. So we can make incremental steps towards the otherwise broader solutions that are coming as a direct result of these consultations which the ministry has engaged in.
And Dwayne, I also think that it's important at this point that I make mention to the fact that the progress that we're making and the plans that we have in place could not be possible without the support of Councillor Harris, of our minister, which is also the Premier, the government of the day, giving us support. And I want to take the opportunity to extend my gratitude and appreciation. This is a very challenging subject matter that we have, but I appreciate that we have a government that is able to understand and appreciate the challenges that we're faced with, but also see the vision and the passion that we are working with and what we're working towards. And having that support makes it so much easier to develop these services and to make the progress that we're making. So I extend my gratitude and appreciation to the government of the day.
And certainly allow the government to likewise, as a spokesperson for them, to thank them for my team. My executive management team, the chief officer, the deputy chief officer, are consummate professionals. But certainly every member that sits on this Ministry of Community Affairs team that I've had the pleasure of working for are consummate professionals, down to the very department and unit levels. You know, the needs assessment unit oftentimes gets a bad rap. But these are persons that show up every single day to perform their tasks to the best of their abilities. Yes, they're constantly dealing with persons, as the DCO mentioned. They're on their last leg. They're not having a good day. Manners aren't necessarily their top priority. What they need is rental, what they need are food vouchers, what they need are their utilities bill paid. So the challenges that our frontline operators face on a day-to-day basis cannot be understated. But I say it to identify their commitment to the people that we serve and their commitment to getting it right. So I'm just as privileged to work with such a solid team of Caymanians that are working in the same direction with the same mission, and that is to get this challenge of the delivery of social and financial assistance right, because there are real lives hanging in the balance on the other side. They're not just numbers.
Yeah. And I certainly would love very much to be able to, as your schedule and as the demand requires, to come on if this forum can be of value to continue the dialogue.
No. We got to draw the line.
Exactly. Come on.
Hey, thank you, man.
Can't all be fun and games.
But in closing, what can we, the general public, do? Because he who, let's say, feels it knows it, and we don't understand. As the Deputy Chief referenced, you have a job, you have health to go to your job. Yeah, you may be a bit frustrated because of your paycheck, but you have a paycheck.
Yeah.
Those people who are on their, the phrase was on their last days, that they were saying, sometimes we don't have empathy because we've never been there. Mm-hmm. What can we do in closing to maybe understand the process better, contribute more, to be more respectful and respectable within the community? Deputy Chief?
I'm very sorry, but we don't have enough time for me to tell you what you all can do. There's just so much doing that persons can contribute and to just assist with. And I think that, again, persons, I would say to them, please don't think that it is too little or that you're not qualified to, because sometimes all it takes is for you to go to the house next door and knock on the door and check on the elderly person there and make sure that they have something to eat, or give them 5 minutes of your time and keep their company. Again, I have said to families in the community, if you know that there is a single mom that is working late and having a bit of a struggle to make ends meet, and the child is home after 5 and you can supervise and accommodate that child, again, please feel free to do that. Sometimes it's the little things that makes the difference. But of course, those bigger companies that might have funding readily available to contribute to the community, we invite them, reach out to us. Please don't hesitate. We're always looking at specific projects. There are always homes that could benefit from some minor renovations. There's just so much that persons can contribute to the community. So big or small or in between, if you have an interest and if you have a desire to help this community, please reach out to us. Don't hesitate. Email us, call us. We're readily available to discuss options with you and to give you some guidance.
Too much is given, as much is required.
Quite right. Certainly, Sterling, I would certainly compliment what the Chief Officer stated in terms of how you can help once the second round of consultations takes place. Certainly, you're in a prime position. You talk to the general public on a daily basis. Certainly, encourage them to provide their feedback not only to you but directly to the ministry. As these consultations roll out, certainly I'll ask the DCO moments from now to share how that engagement and how that feedback can be shared directly with us. Certainly to the NAU clients, past and present, share your viewpoints with us. Landlords, again, housing is important. Help us help you. We've got 88 landlords out of a total core of 210 landlords that we work with right now. We need more of them to sign up to the direct deposit route so that we can make sure that there is adequate housing available to us, which the demands are growing on a daily, if not weekly basis. We want to be able to spread that money into the local economy because, again, that is part of building a stronger economy, stronger communities. But what we're looking for is honest feedback. But at the same token, Bob Marley says, everybody's burden is the heaviest. For our clients and those who are waiting in the pipeline, in the process, I ask for one thing: patience. We are working to address your needs, but there is a process. As bad as your circumstances may be, there is, and oftentimes I see it on a daily basis, persons with far more depressed circumstances. That's why I said that everyone believes their burden is the heaviest, but that may not necessarily be the case in the queue, if you will. But we are working on it. We are working to get to you. There is a process of determining financial assistance to ensure that the right people get the right help at the right time. We can't help everyone, but we are trying to make it easier for the majority of people that come to our door. And they can rest assured that they have a government, an administration that genuinely cares about their lives. And we're trying to improve that process. We're trying to improve it. We're trying to upskill them so that they can look after themselves. And likewise, I can't echo it enough. We used to be a society or a village that took care of our own people. Families, looking after families. There is a growing dependence, not just in the Cayman Islands, but the world over, that, government should do it. Let government do it. Government doesn't earn a single dime. Government earns revenue from taxpayers of this country. So when you say let government do it, what you're saying is let the taxpayer pay for it. In some cases, it's necessary. But in most cases, it's avoidable by encouraging us to live like we once lived, with families caring more for each other. I think if we can do that together, then the solution to this challenge is within grasp.
All right. Well, to your patience, I add perseverance, so press on. Deputy Chief, as the Acting Minister shared, perhaps close out. How do we make that contact?
You can contact the ministry on our email address, mincays@government.ky. That's mincays@gov.ky. And I can't stress it enough. I believe in transparency generally. And as I said in the confines of Public Accounts Committee meeting last week to the Leader of the Opposition, I see no reason why this is not something that the whole country gets behind. We have to get this right. Mm-hmm. I mean, once I look back now and see that I have 2 small children, what Cayman do I want them to wake up in? So let's get around the table, put our heads together, not just folks in terms of media, journalists, but other folks that I've here on radio talk shows who call in, who have an interest in the subject. I've been to community meetings where people have good ideas. Let's get around the table and actually try to get this right.
Yeah, it is for us to solve it. Thank you all very, very much for sharing, and I hope that we'll continue to rally together so that, and the burden is indeed a lot lighter because it's shared by all. To our listeners, join us tomorrow for more Talk Today after the midday news. Have a blessed, safe, and productive afternoon. And when I call Susan and request a song, I think of one, but maybe not be the same for you. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
We love our listeners. Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.